to the numbers that we needed to play to. But like I told our guys, give Florida a ton of credit, but then we got to look at ourselves, and there's nothing that we did in that game that we can't fix, and we need to fix it.
Talk about losing your poise. Do you think it was missing shots that led to that?
I do. I thought that, but I thought we took some early that really got us off kilter. The ones that Chaz took early, shots that he's made all year, I don't think that I don't have a problem with any of the shots that he took early. That's what he's been doing all year. I just felt as we got down, we started pressing, and maybe not losing your poise, because I think people think of that as being negative. I think it's probably more pressing to try to get it quick and try to get something going, as opposed to just staying with it, understanding that it's a long game, long way to go, and just felt like we just never got untracked. But you learn from it. It happens. I'm not going to take away from Florida. They won the game, and the fact is we have to come back after every game, win, lose, and look at it, and we have our rhythms that we do, and we're going to try to stay in them and just look at it and get better from it.
Picking up on that, Coach, you talked about it after the game. You want to learn from it. But how tough is it for young men at this age to kind of really flush that away, especially with a big game coming up?
Well, they have to. Every game's a big game now. You're in conference play. But I always say, you could ask our guys, first game of the year, they're all big, because if you want to be where you want to be at the end of the year, you can't stub your toe along the way when you're not ready to play. And I think these guys have done a good job being focused and trying to get ready to play before every game. And like I said, their effort was there. We just didn't have it. And again, give Florida credit for that. But you got to, we'll flush it out, move from here, and get ready. We have to be ready, or we'll lose again. It's plain and simple. It's even being ready, sometimes you're going to lose some games. But the fact is, you've got to do everything and control everything that you can control.
Well, Jimmy Dax was on the broadcast. They're not talking about Chaz being too nonchalant, being soft with the ball at times. Have you seen that as a problem for him?
Yeah, I think it's moving from one level to the next. I do. I think just coming down the floor where he's dribbling the ball, he's got a turnover, and he's dribbling the ball, and he's playing at his speed, and maybe in the past he could get by with that. He can't, and then dribble down, had a chance to either go to the basket or pull up, and he decided to pull up, but he slowed down way too much. And when you're doing what he's done and having the kind of success he's had here, he's got to understand that it's not going to get easier. It's going to get harder, and that means that you get out in the open court, you can be assured that somebody's coming from somewhere, and maybe different guys. And that's part of his growth process. The same with, I would say, Igor, D-Stone. I do think that after a game that Shaq and Zakai were really good with their teammates, saying to them, hey, man, this is a different animal we're dealing with right now. We told you guys about it. Sometimes you got to be put in that situation to see it, to feel it, to have it touch you before you can really understand what you have to do and embrace it, so you can take those steps forward to get you where you really want to be.
When opponents are daring Jemiah to shoot, what do you want him to do on the offensive end?
I want him to shoot, I think, but I also think and he's done a really pretty good job with it, selectively with it. You look at numbers, I could see them having the same thing with Zakai or Igor, which is, those guys work at it. I think they all know how we want them to play, how they want to play, but sometimes in the flow of the game, it's when you're competitive, you're fighting to claw and get back into something. But when Jemiah's open, he knows the time and places in the games where he knows he needs to shoot it. He knows when he needs to do other things, because he's so good for us driving the ball and getting the lane and spraying it and finding his teammates. But I can tell you everything that happened in that game. We've been through it every year that I've been here. Talking about Chaz, Dalton went through it a year ago. It's just part of the growth process.
Coach, in looking at the tape, what have you seen from Rodney's team this year?
A lot. His teams have always played hard. They're going to fight you. They're going to guard you. He does a good job getting the guys that he wants shots to get those guys shots. And we obviously know that even though I think he would consider himself a man coach, I've got great respect for Frank Haith and him being beside me for many years. We felt last year going into the NCAA tournament they would be willing to go zone, which they did. But just great respect for his staff. a lot of love there because, you know, we spent many hours together through the years, and happy at the success they're having. But I was thinking this morning how many different tie-ins we all have within the league with each other. It's almost like the SEC in some ways. It's just so many people's lives have touched each other through the years, and it's a great blessing from God. And but happy with where they are and what they're doing. But got to compete, and I know full well they're going to be ready to do that.
Going there a few years ago and the homecoming stuff they did for you, does that make this just kind of like any other trip now?
You know, I've been in the new building last year when I went back to see my daughter. You know, I met a dear friend, Bill Duval, there just to give him a hug, and I saw I think Moody Center before the game. I didn't stay for the game, but I was just there, and but this will be the first time us playing there, so it'll be different in terms of, I mean, when I think about going back to Texas, I think of the Irwin Center where we were for 17 years, but I mean, I know where it is, know all that stuff, but it's, yeah, to me, I mean, I'm sure I'm going to see a lot of people that are still there that I know, but that's part of it. But the fact is, we've got to go a day early because of the weather conditions, so that'll be a little bit different. That we're kind of getting out of rhythm a little bit, but that's what we have to do.
Typical post players that have more muscle, more weight, more traditional post players, does that concern you from a matchup standpoint with your guys? Yeah,
well, that was something that we knew at the beginning of the year. At the start of this year with JP going out, you know, we felt with JP and Felix, we would have two guys that really could bring that physicality. I thought Felix did a good job for us the other night at Florida. I thought he battled hard in there against some really good post players. And but, yeah, I think if you look at our team, you'd have a little concern there. But, you know, we've been able to get through it to this point. And all I can say is that we've got to get better with it. You know, those guys have to improve in a lot of ways. But we've all got to help, and our perimeter guys are going to have to help those guys too throughout the game. When they do get really good position there, they need to get the ball more than they're getting it right now.
So just Cade good to go?
He was. You know, the other night he wasn't. I could tell by watching the film after the game. He wasn't the same in terms of like the one lob he went up for. He didn't even raise his left arm. You know, he went up tried to get it one-handed, which that's one reason he didn't play more because you know, Cade's tough. He's never going to complain. He's just not. But I could tell he wasn't normally what he is.
Last year there were times where guys would stand around and watch Dalton try to create offensively. Did you see any of that with Chaz the other night? No,
I didn't. I thought that guys were playing. You know, Zakai is such a competitive player. I mean, he was mad when I took him out of the game. He played 36 minutes. I mean, he said, you know, that's just who he is. He said, hey, look, you know, I've gotten us here. We're down. I want to fight to the end, and that's who he is. But you know, we started subbing with about 8 minutes to go, thinking about, you know, we've got to make sure we get out of this thing without getting someone hurt, and trying to get Bishop some minutes there, and D Stone, different guys like that. But sometimes, you know, Zakai is just so competitive, and when things aren't going well, he just wants to make it up for everybody. But we'll all learn from what happened the other day. We will. And you got to go through them, and I've been through it before, and more than I'd like to talk about. But I've been in over 40 years, man. I've been there, you know.
Do you find that there is an advantage to Texas was playing a full 40-minute game? You guys were able to kind of sub out with about 8 minutes left. Do you find that there is a little bit of an advantage in games like that?
I don't know. You know, everybody's got their own team and what they're doing. You know. You do what you're doing, and again, we were looking at it as a way, can we get better right now? We know we need to get some other guys minutes, and we were trying to do a little bit of that, but still, we don't ever think it's over until it's over. And that's what my point is about Zakai. You know, if he's down 20 with 4 minutes to go, he thinks he can still find a way to bring it back, and it's not that. It's just that, you know, some guys were sitting because they just weren't getting things done, and we owe it to the other guys to give them a chance to see what they can do.
What does this Texas team look like compared to the last three? It seems like they're more reliant on the three-point line.
Well, they can shoot the ball. I don't think there's any question they can do that, but I think they are different. But, you know, they've got an explosive, you know, one of the very best players in the country. I mean, you know, I see oftentimes people are putting his numbers up against KD's, and which is impressive that anybody would even be on the same line with him, because what he did as a freshman is, I'm not sure it's ever been done the way he did it, certainly at the time he did it. But again, I mentioned that Rodney does a good job in getting guys shots, and when he gets a guy that gets it going, he's gonna feed it to him.
Thanks,
All right,
Coach.
thank you, guys.
Coach.